So we get to learn today. Shaun Hurley is with us. He's with First Team. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me.
So you've been around a day or two, seen a market or two. We've been chatting here a little bit. And you're actually an educator as well. Now, you're an educator in real estate. You can help people understand what's going on in this market. Is it, should we sit on our hands and not buy a house? Should we stay in our tent, maybe rent? What are you telling people right now?
Wow, boy, that's a good question. Easy to ask, a little bit more difficult to answer. What's going on?
I got the easy part. You get the right stuff.
Well, what's really happening is quite unusual. Ordinarily, you hear about the stock market. And of course, the stock market isn't a stock market. It's actually a market of stocks. It's the same with real estate now. It's not a real estate market, which we would consider to be a homogeneous market where all housing and all areas are the same. What's developed since COVID and since the Fed's increase in these interest rates is we've seen the real estate market become micro markets. That is that in any particular area, you may have real good demand and real good activity, but other areas are not doing so well. So it really boils down to real estate becoming a hyper local conversation. So we really need to talk about where we're talking about, what areas, what neighborhoods, to understand what's happening today in the micro markets of real estate.
So tell me, where's your expertise?
Well, my expertise, I'm really a salesperson, real estate broker, a fiduciary to my clients. But I've always believed that the best way to have success in sales is to shorten the distance between 2 points, point A and point B. And in order to do that, especially during a transitionary market like we're in today, you have to make some changes in your approach in dealing and communicating with your prospective clients. And those are very important elements if you're going to continue to have success as this market is changing.
So I'm the client though. So what am I looking at? What am I, so you're focused, what, Dana Point area?
I work all over Orange County.
Okay.
Great.
So let's look, maybe that I have it right here. I've got Newport Beach on my screen. And, I'm looking at Newport Beach has a whopping, for the whole city, 39 houses, single family residence available for sale.
Right. Well, basically South Coastal Orange County is considered the Riviera of Southern California. And these areas along the coast have very high demand still and very little supply. Once you arrive at the beach and you've got that beautiful ocean view of Catalina with the sun setting, where are you going to go? Where is it going to get much better? So people have a tendency to stay in these prime areas and not loosen up and liquidate. So the supply is fairly low.
Yeah. So what do I do if I wanted to live there? I mean, am I just out of luck, or are there, as a real estate agent broker, do you have strategies that you can help me with to maybe find something if I wanted to live there?
Well, what I'm doing specifically for clients is we're focusing on off-market properties. So we're soliciting sellers that are not on the market, but could be sellers. Because, remember the old rule, every property is available at the right price.
Sure.
So as long as we can reach out into the market sort of clandestinely and find potential sellers before they were to list property, or bring in buyers to see those properties that are not officially listed, we're doing our clients a favor by developing off-market fresh inventory where they don't have to compete with other buyers. That would be the first step. Second step, Ron, as you know, this is all about financing. Unless you're paying all cash, you need to be prepared financially. So you would call, for example, you want to speak to yourself and with Geneva and get pre-qualified, actually pre-approved all the way through underwriting, so that when you do submit an offer, those sellers know that you're as good as cash. So you need to be prepared. So you need to find off-market property in addition to what's on the market, and you need to be prepared financially. Now, a lot of people will be searching Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, but the reality is 30% of the transactions that are happening today are off-market. You'll never see them on Zillow.
Wow, 30%.
That's correct.
That's a lot.
Because you're including not only just off-market properties, but other expired listings now where the seller may be still interested in obtaining an offer. You've got probate sales where they may never be advertised. there's a variety of sources. In addition, of course, we're doing some door knocking if we need to in a specific neighborhood for a client, or we'll be sending out some very specific mailers to those homeowners that may be interested in entertaining an offer, but they're just not interested in listing their property officially.
That's an interesting concept, because right now, with such a small amount of properties on the market, it goes back to something that's really, really very basic. And we're gonna hold that basic thought. If you want to buy a house, if you want to own a house, there's a basic concept that I'm going to talk to Shaun Hurley about when we come back. We are chatting this morning. Shaun Hurley is with us. He is with First Team Real Estate. He's an expert on this stuff. So we were talking before the break, and we're going to continue talking about this idea. You know, I don't get paid to say this. It's my show. I can say whatever I want. Well, within reality. But the bottom line is, if you were listening to what Shaun was saying earlier, one of the things that he didn't say it, but I will. You need an experienced full-time real estate agent to help you if you're thinking about buying a house in this market. I'm going to say in most markets, but for sure in this market. Did you hear Shaun say that 30% of the transactions are off market? Do you think your neighbor's best friend's dog walker's 80-year-old aunt who sold a house in 1970, one house, but still has a real estate license, knows where those 30% are? Shaun was talking about something that was real basic before. And Shaun, I'm going to get to it. I think that basic means, I have a friend of mine who said, if you want to be somebody's real estate professional or mortgage lender for life, you better talk to them during their life. Right? You're kind of saying the same thing, as if you're going to try and find properties that aren't on market, how do you find those? You got to talk to people.
That's right. It comes down to face-to-face, belly-to-belly contacts. And
I got an advantage there when you talk about belly-to-belly. Just throw that out there.
Yeah. But you've got to roll up your sleeves. You got to roll up your sleeves and go to work. But you have to know what to do, where to go, how to do it, what to say. I mean, there's complexity, obviously. You need to really understand who you're talking to and what may be most important to them when you have that conversation and how you have that conversation. But interesting, though, as you mentioned, Ron, about interest rates going up, one of the solutions that we've been providing for our clients as we find off-market properties is we'll have the seller provide a buy down for that buyer, a rate buy down, either temporary or permanent. So instead of that buyer paying, let's say, 6.5% on a 30-year fixed, they can have the seller pay some points and maybe buy that down to maybe 4.5%. And that will facilitate not only just a lower payment, but also qualifying and a happy buyer and a happy seller.
That's massive. That's massive. And see, those are strategies that come from experience, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that don't understand how to do that, or I hear a lot of people right now talking about these 2-1 buy downs or 3-2-1 buy down. It's good for your budget, but it doesn't help you, what you said, qualify for more.
Right. And typically we're going to talk to sellers when we approach them with a client to say, look, we want to help this buyer buy your property at the price you're looking for. And we want to get a little bit of help. And then, to your other point about, we do hear some buyers indicate, well, we're just going to wait for prices to come down. Well, as you've indicated, this is probably not likely in those micro markets that are real quality areas, quality neighborhoods with quality schools. Quite frankly, you're better off to negotiate the price in your favor, and motivated sellers will appear. The question is, will you be ready financially to make that move when the opportunity comes?
That's the key. If once a seller says yes, there's only one direction you can go.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is you want to be ready to move as quick as possible. Right. So if you can get a 10 or 15 day escrow, it's a lot better for you. And I love your concept, because you and I didn't even talk about this before we went on air. The idea of, I refer to it as a payment assistance plan, right? Because so many people don't understand buy down. You do, because you've been in the industry a long time. I understand it. I've been doing this for a long time. The average person, I don't know that they know what a buy down is. So we actually have come out with something called rsrbuydown.com, rsrbuydown.com. And we walk through these different examples. because it's spot on that exactly what you're saying. We were showing folks all weekend how to get that interest rate in the force, right? And you don't have to ask the seller to take that big a haircut, because you can actually even increase the purchase price to cover it if you have to.
That's right. It's fair compensation to both parties. It's a win-win.
Right.
It's a true middle ground to get business done.
And again, that has to do with experience. You're knowing that this is available, to having the lending partners that know how to do it the right way, so it doesn't trigger the high cost and predatory lending violations.
Yeah.
Right. And knowing where those sellers are. The sellers, again, Shaun made a great point. And I when you talk to realtors, Shaun, how many of the realtors get frustrated? They say, well, I can't find any sellers that want to. Maybe it's because they're looking at the wrong, they're looking under the wrong trees.
Well, they're conventional agents, with all due respect, and they may not really comprehend what other alternatives are there to produce or provide supply of property or homes for sale for those clients that are looking. It's challenging, but it can be done, and we're doing it every day at our office.
Well, I just looked this morning, and I think the average loan amount right now is 42%, right, of what people have the loans on their properties. So if somebody's got 58% equity, they may be willing to trade that for something different. They've got the ability to. It's not like they're underwater on their property and can't sell. They've got an opportunity there. If somebody's, if you've got a death in the family or divorce, there may be an opportunity strategically. You can go and look at those people and talk to those people.
That's right. That would be either through divorce cases, probate cases, a lot of our attorneys that bring us properties under both of those scenarios. So yeah, there are opportunities to find those off-market properties, get that lower interest rate and lower payment. You can buy now, and frankly, I don't think people should wait if they have a real long-term perspective, 4, 5, 6, 7 years or more. Because what's happening is, contrary to what you might think in the economy, most of South Coastal Orange County is doing just fine. Partly because, again, the inventory is low, and we're not seeing a flood of properties come on the market. Why isn't that happening? Well, nobody wants to give up a 2.5 or 3% interest rate. So they're going to hang on to what they've got. They're going to stay, they're going to remodel. And this is what's created the dearth of supply that we're wrestling with today in the real estate market here in Orange County.
So when we come back, I want to talk about this solution to the 2.5 to 3% rate dilemma. And maybe there is a solution here. I'm going to ask Shaun about that when we come back. I want to get back to my conversation this morning. Shaun Hurley is with us. He's from First Team, and we're chatting about a lot of information here about, Shaun, I'm going to throw this out there. I think that we can prove anything we want to prove. There's no houses available to buy. You can prove that. There are houses available to buy. You can prove that, right? Whatever your mindset is, you can actually prove it. So there's a lot of people out there saying there's nothing available, yet you've already told us that 30% of the properties are off market, 40% of what you're doing is off market. So you're out there finding a way to do it.
That's right. Absolutely. So we talked about the buyer side, but we haven't really talked about the seller side. When we meet with sellers, there are sellers out there thinking that they're going to wait for prices to continue to go up. Well, that may not be a reality. So there's no guarantee there. And if they're looking to cash in on their equity, they should probably do that sooner than later, because you never know what might be coming around the corner.
We know what today is.
We know what today is.
Right.
Some sellers are asking me, well, where would we go? And of course, my response always is, well, where would you go? Where would you like to go? What plan do you have in the next 2, 3, 5 years that you could accelerate and start making that move today? So this is more of a real estate planning than it really is anything else. But there's lots of
life planning too.
Life planning, and I actually consider myself more of a real estate planner, because I have to sit down with people and find out who they are, where they've been, and where they want to go.
Sure.
If I don't know the answers to those questions, I'm not properly guiding that client.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, one of the things I hear a lot, and I've got a solution, and I want to hear yours, is Okay, so I've got a 2.5 or 3% loan right now. Why would I want to move? Right. So my thought is, okay, so if you sell your property, and let's just say you've got a $500,000 property and you've got 30% equity, or well, we know that the stats are on average 58% equity. But let's just say, because I'm a simple guy, you've got $250,000 in equity in that property. I could probably go out and buy another property based on the strategies you and I talked about earlier of getting a buy down. So we're in the 4% range. I don't know what you're going to qualify for. That's doable, right?
Yeah, that would be doable.
I could, if the seller's not willing to help, I've got $250,000 in equity. I don't have to use that all. I could use that to buy down my own loan, right?
That's right. You can use your own equity to buy down that purchase loan as well. Yeah, and remember, Ron, we don't want to lose sight. One of the primary benefits and reasoning behind buyers buying property, especially first-time buyers, is they need tax benefits. Real estate is probably one of the last bastions of tax shelter that you're going to find, basically to minimize your federal and state taxes. So if you're paying a little higher on the interest rate, you're writing that off. All mortgage interest up to $1 million, your property taxes, some of your insurance perhaps could be written off. So there are benefits by paying some interest. It's not a bad thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially because the only bad part is if you're living out in the tent. Right? Most of us want a roof over our head. So, that you got that benefit of having that roof over your head. It's supposed to rain this week. We don't get too much rain in Southern California. This year we have, but you want to have a roof over your head. So the tax benefits are, boy, we know in California there's taxes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like to tell clients when we're talking about the purchase price and their mortgage debt, the truth is, and this is from my own experience, having paid off probably 8 or 9 mortgages, the mortgage debt you take on today is usually your net worth tomorrow. It's
okay.
a forced savings plan.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you didn't have that mortgage, all of your money is just going to the wayside paying rent, and you have nothing built for the future.
100% interest there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I mean,
right.
it's all the rent is going 100% interest, or you got 4, 5, 6%. Now, I have shared with people, Shaun, and I think you'll understand this one real quick. I look at a rate chart and I see rates going anywhere from 4 to 7.5, and every one of those rates are really good for the right person. Right? If you've got a short-term hold, you might want to be at a 7% to get more of a rebate to minimize your closing costs. If you're on a short-term hold, long-term hold, you might want to buy down the rate to get the lowest rate.
Right, pay some points to get that payment down. And you could do the calculation, Ron. Maybe it's a 2 or 3 year break-even point where after the third year, they're completely in the black and they're making money.
Exactly. So again, it goes. All of these things are having your real estate professionals, the people that are guiding you, working together and understanding what your short and long-term goals are. Right? It does not matter what my goals are. That's irrelevant. Doesn't matter what your goals are. But our goals are to make sure that the person we're sitting across the table from, we can do our best possible to help them achieve their goals.
Well, yeah, of course, Ron, you're a fiduciary as a broker, myself as a fiduciary. People oftentimes don't understand that or the difference between a broker and an agent, but we always have to put the client's interest before ours.
Right.
Bottom line. Yeah.
And there's a lot to it. So what's important here, and I hope you're getting that as you listen to us this morning, or this afternoon, whenever you're listening, or the replays on any of our social channels. But the whole concept here is understanding that whatever your perception is going to be correct. Right. And if you're talking to a realtor who says there's nothing to sell, I can put you in front of 500 realtors who just closed a property last week. Right. I mean, there's people out there or have got something in escrow that just did sell or that helping a family buy. Because you're understanding I talk about 6 Ds, Shaun. I don't know if you've heard me talk about this on the radio, but you've got the diplomas, diamonds, and diapers. You've got the death, the divorce, and the defaults, right? Those things are going to go on whether the economy is good, whether you like the president or don't like the president, whether you like the state or don't like the state, whether you think the market's going to go up or go down, interest rates up or down. Those 6 are always going to happen. We don't get to control those.
Yeah, they are rubrics in the industry. as well as housing being an intrinsic value. Everyone needs a place to go and
Right.
park their car and a roof over your head and raise your kid.
Exactly.
Got to have housing.
So when you're out there talking, you're probably got your sensors on from, if you're talking to Mr. or Mrs. Smith, you've got your antenna up. Are one of those 6Ds in their life right now, or do they know somebody? Right? That's got to be the easiest way for you to find that 40% of off-market properties that you're looking for.
Well, it is. I think as a salesperson,
Right,
which I am, you have to remember that there are 5 outcomes of any sales call. Of course, the simple answer is yes, we're interested. No, we're not interested. Permission for future contact. But one of the most important ones that most agents and salespeople overlook is the referral.
sure.
Asking for the referral. Even though that particular person you're talking to may not have interest, they may know through their network any number of people that may be looking to either sell or buy. That's another avenue of opportunity.
Yeah, so you've a lot right there, but it only happens when you're talking to people.
Face to face.
Right.
On the phone, I guess you could text, but it's person to person. However you can get in a human dynamic where there's some emotion that can be generated, that's where you need to be.
So you don't want to hire a secret agent.
No secret agents. No
Right?
secret agents.
Yeah. So the idea is, so how long have you been doing this, Shaun?
Oh gosh.
I'll put you on the spot here.
long time.
So
I've been
we don't need the
close-
exact number. What I'm getting at is you've probably got an extensive database of people that you can talk to every day.
I do. I have my database of past clients is about a little over 300 people. That's a lot of people.
Sure. And I think the number is, and I should have a calculator open because I'm slow, but those 300 people, if they were going to have a wedding or an anniversary party tomorrow, they've probably got 150 to 200 people that they can invite.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So if you're talking to them and you go out and have coffee or sit across the table from them, or tough life, but he's in the beach community, so maybe he's sitting out there on the beach having a happy hour
With my surfboard.
with your surfboard.
Yes, with the surfboard.
Right. So you can have a conversation with them and say, something, who do you know that might need my services today?
Exactly.
Right. Or your surfboard has a big realtor sign across it, right?
I'm not really self-promotional. I am kind of under the covers. I like to fly under the radar.
Under the radar, but successful. So
Yeah.
you must be doing something right.
I guess if you spent 30 years in this business and you've made it this far, you are doing something right.
It's amazing information. If you want to meet Shaun, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to put you in touch with him. South County beach or coastal communities.
I work all
But
over
all over.
Orange County.
Well, when you have that many people in your network, if they decide they want to, sell their house in Yorba Linda and move to the beach, you're going to help them,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you're going to get both sides of it. So if you want to chat with Shaun, you want to have that conversation, again, give me a call at 800-306-1990. Happy to put you in touch with him.